All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the newest episode of Benchwarmers FC podcast, The Benched. We're the bench with the voice. My name is Diego the Troll Orozco, as you guys have so aptly named me.
Love it.
Together with us, we have
Eddie Mera Glass, Rafael.
Erik Estrada.
Really? You keep the Pepinador one?
Pepinador? Yeah.
Really?
Wait,
Okay.
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
want me to change
I
it?
don't know. I thought you had something else. Didn't you?
I'll be.
Oh, okay. And I am Mark from the Interrupter Cruise.
And we're actually pretty excited today. We're beaming, we're buzzing because we have a special guest with us tonight recording in our studio. We have Andrew from Welcome to Bundesliga podcast. Andrew, all of our fans will be able to see on the video, you have a Bayern München
Yes, I do.
jersey on.
I'm a Bayern fan.
You are a Bayern fan.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to give you a really quick question before Erik loses his mind.
Hold on.
You,
I know
you
I'm
heard
like
it
an
too.
idiot right now, but I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
That's how you correctly pronounce it.
Oh, shit.
Bayern Munich is acceptable, but
Yeah.
Okay.
Bayern München
Works
is...
both ways.
Okay, I was about to right now, bro. Alright, sorry.
It's not
No,
the hardest
don't-
German team out there.
I heard it too, and it threw me off a little bit. I'm like, are we going to pronounce it that way?
Eric's having an internal meltdown. Like,
Oh,
all right.
You remember when Fernando tried pronouncing all the German names?
He did pretty good. He did pretty good, though.
Didn't you guys always ask for him to
Definitely
pronounce
is.
one specifically?
No, he wanted
no,
to pronounce...
it was Socrates Papadopoulos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a funny.
Yeah, I know.
That's
That's
a
a
funny
funny team.
So we have Andrew here with us today. Andrew, the question that I was going to ask you
Yeah.
before Erik lost his mind was a little softball question. Why Bayern München?
Alright, so it's a very roundabout story about how I landed on Bayern. But, so I'm Ukrainian, so I always followed the Ukrainian national team. I'm a huge soccer fan. And back when I started getting into soccer around like 2011, 12, around there, I was originally a Chelsea fan because they had Andriy Shevchenko, which was like a huge
Oh, thank God.
Ukrainian
Okay.
player,
No,
and,
no,
you know,
I'll
the
take
star
that.
of the national team.
I'll take that.
I knew it was going down
It's
from the
yeah.
very beginning, so... Okay.
So I was a fan of him, and then he ended up switching teams, and then we went back to Serie A, and I'm like, all right, well, I got to pick a team that has a Ukrainian player. And right around that time, Bayern was kind of having a really good season, and they had, what's his name, Anatoly Timoshchuk, who was one of the defenders.
That's true.
Also, most sports I'm a fan of. I'm usually a fan of good goaltenders, goalkeepers. You know, I'm a hockey fan, and Martin Brodeur is one of the best goaltenders. At the time, Peter Cech was one of the great goaltenders in Chelsea. And then I heard about this guy, Manuel Neuer. I'm like, all right, well, let's check out his team. Also happens to be on Bayern. So I got like 2 connections there. And then one of my favorite national teams, other than Ukraine, was also the Dutch national team. And I watched them all the way through the finals in the World Cup in South Africa. And when they got up to that game against Spain, I was rooting for the Dutch team.
That was a letdown.
Huge letdown, man.
Yeah.
To this day, I still can't stand Andres Iniesta because that 116th minute goal. I can't stand him.
Oh, my
Great
God.
player. I just hate his guts.
I had a World Cup. What was it, like a lottery?
Vuvuzela?
No, I had a lottery draw
Okay.
for Netherlands that year.
Yeah,
So I was ready to win like a good,
Right.
like a cool 300 out of that.
right.
And I hate Andres Iniesta too, man. So I feel you. I feel you
But
on
they
that.
had Robin on that team, and you know he was
Mm.
one of the Dutch star players.
No problem.
So then Robin also happened to play for Bayern. So it was kind of all those, you know, combination of Ukrainian player. You know, I was following the Dutch team, and they had one of the best Dutch players, and they had a really good goaltender. I'm like, all right, let's give this a try. So I started watching them, and originally I'd watch like their big games, you know, them playing against Dortmund or some of the Champions League games, and then it evolved into watching like every game in of the season, and kind of since then I've been with Bayern.
That's great. That's a
So,
great
yeah.
story, man. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're better
That's what
than,
it is.
better than most people who like just want to follow a team, just follow a team, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking no sway.
Yeah.
Said he's a Spurs fan, and
Did,
then
wait,
they wanted to come over
did you
here.
call him No Sway?
Huh?
Did you call him No Sway?
No, but it kind of sounded like that.
It sounded like that too.
Don't forget, he started a Liverpool fan and then became.
Exactly.
Wasn't
He's a
that?
Spurs fan.
Wasn't Leicester City one though?
Yeah, he
Whatever,
said
whatever
he
he
won,
was-
he won the league.
He wanted
Won the
me
league.
into a
That was a
debate.
good year.
He was Leicester City for the year they won.
Everyone was a Leicester fan the year they won.
Yeah.
I was a Leicester fan the year they won. It was a great run.
So I mean,
Yeah, Spurs were right behind them. They almost made it.
Now, that's a better book than a Tottenham Hotspur. That's a way better book right there.
They actually made it.
That's a nice way to link it. Talking about the Premier League and the Prem matches, we had one Monday night game today. I'm not on board with these Monday night matches because they keep trying to push Monday night football, and it's annoying.
Especially with two big teams.
Exactly.
The worst you can do.
But you're. You pulled it back. I like that.
Just
So
so you
there's
know,
Two historically big teams.
he suffered a lot in your hands.
I know.
A lot of 5-1 games. I wish you guys made the Champions League this year. It'd be nice having another 5-1.
Dang, my man Andrew, it out.
I remember the big Wenger out fans was because of that game.
Yeah.
And he still stuck around for another year.
So this was the game. The match today was actually a lot of the, I guess, maybe, I don't know, feedback from fans or watchers, neutrals, whatever it may be on Twitter. We're saying it was probably one of the most boring top 6 matches they've seen to date. It ended up in a 1-1 draw, and I was watching the game for sure. I know you tuned in sometime afterward. I don't know if you guys caught it, but
I watched the whole game.
yeah, you watched it too.
Except for the last 6 minutes.
Yeah, last 6
I
minutes.
saw the highlights and that was bad.
There's only so much I could drive around in the forklift before I get caught. So
nice. So we had not really much. Like I'm trying to think of things to say after watching the game. There wasn't really much to pick out, except for some players really disappointing, I guess. Especially on both sides, the commentators were really pushing that. They weren't holding any punches back in terms of saying how poor both teams were, the lack of confidence from United on the attacking side, lack of composure from Arsenal when trying to bring the ball out. So we have a great McTominay goal. I'm gonna highlight that. That was awesome to see
I got
that.
a fantasy team, so
Oh, nice.
I'm lucky there.
Oh, nice.
nice.
Andrew plays FPL.
I don't know, man.
At first, Erik was So and then
only United player on my team now.
oh, okay, all right, cool.
Although I don't have any Arsenal players.
That's fine.
Words.
No, that's all right. Speaking of Arsenal players, though, we have Aubameyang again on the score sheet. Yeah, exactly. He's gonna need a nice Cairo to help his back out because he's been carrying that team.
I got you. Give me a call, bro. I got you.
I don't know. What do you guys want to add about the match? What do you think? What are your thoughts? Who wants to pick it up?
I mean, Mark, you start off because I didn't watch the first half, so.
Well, let's start off with how are they? So when they said the reference of this has been the most boring game of specifically EPL top 6 any
No, between United and Arsenal.
Okay.
And then they switched it over after the game finished to say between top 6 sides because usually
I don't know if they didn't see the Champions League final last season because that shit was a snooze fest. This wasn't as bad, but it was still bad. No, you can. Hey, I'm not a reference, but most of us fell asleep throughout the game. Y'all won it. Hey, good on you. But this one wasn't as bad, but it still was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Anything that sticks out?
The one thing that sticks out is I'm surprised nobody walked away with a red card.
Yes. That's
the one thing that I can say that sticks out. I'm very surprised nobody walked out with a red card because everybody was going at it.
Everyone.
I think out of everybody that took it the most, I think it was Guendouzi.
Yeah, Guendouzi. The one thing that I will say about Guendouzi, and I'll open my mouth on this, I think because he's young, he may come off as a bit rash or maybe not level-headed. Mm-hmm. But I really feel like he's just trying to express, his raw emotion for the game, his courage to want to influence the game. So that's something that.
And you're 100% on that. He does that. He loves to play. And he's passionate at such a young age, and that's really impressive. He's definitely a future captain. I can definitely see that in him. His character, whenever he wants to get the team going, you see him just rallying the crowd, rallying the team around him. Shaka's he does that shit, but I'm like, there you go. But at the same time, it's just I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep PG now, man.
It's good.
Good.
But no, from what I was I was able to watch like the second half,
Mhm.
part of it at least. Pepe was definitely a disappointment, and he is now he's starting to ring a couple of alarm bells because he showed all the excitement he had in the beginning where he would do little,
He was
little
dribbling,
drives, getting nutmegs and everybody.
Joel past Van Dijk ended that streak, thank God.
Yeah, but then just slowly, and after that Aston Villa, goal, even though it was a penalty that was given to him by Aubameyang.
It was, though.
Let me started on that again, Diego, please.
Nico has a recording.
It's like blackmail right now or something.
I actually do need to ask Nico for that recording. I do want it. We might use it for something.
But it's funny, I lost my train of thought. What was that?
Pepe's
Pepe.
disappointed.
Oh yeah, disappointing. He got to step it up because that should have been his confidence booster. And today he did not show up.
Yeah.
Very, very disappointing. Again, what was he did with Lacazette because apparently they had love playing, they love being together. So hopefully when everybody's healthy, again I keep saying that, but we were expecting a win. No offense to you,
That's fine.
but we got a draw, and it's not to be proud of, but it's all right.
It's not bad for Old Trafford.
I think it was
But-
like a backdoor truce between Emery and Solskjaer to
In a way, yeah.
Let's
but-
both keep
Like,
our
Walk away with a point.
Yeah,
We're
but,
we're
Club
both on
Sakio.
fire right now. Let's
You made a
cool it
post
down.
about the game, and then there was one Instagram follower that we have that he said something specific that actually made a lot of sense now. I'm going to try to look it up. But I think that I would have liked to see Emery take a little risk and take. That shit, oh no, that did.
no, we're on power save mode.
Take a little risk and actually put Holding in instead of Socrates or
But they're just coming back, man. You
Yeah,
have to,
it's a
why would you
small-
risk them now?
No, Holding
You
has
gotta
been
take
back
the
for a
long time,
minute.
bro.
Holding. I didn't. That's why I didn't say Tierney or Bellerin. Holding has been back for over a month.
Yeah, but who has he faced? He's played for what, U23s, I think,
Mhm.
and then he played in Europa League,
Nottingham.
and then that's it, man. You gotta be careful,
Dude,
you know.
sometimes you have to
Like
take a
Rebel.
small risk, and that would have been one of the ones. Also, I think he went a little bit more defensive, and we're not. Come on, we're not known
Arsenal
to be
going
defensive.
defensive?
Come on,
No. So I kind of disagree with you there. I don't think he went defensive because he took out Torreira and left Shaka to cover more ground, and we all know what happens when Shaka covers more ground
by himself.
by himself. He can't.
And I think
he can't handle
actually
it.
that's when he got the yellow.
Then he got the yellow. He
Because
started
he's
getting
more
stretched out. He cannot handle the midfield by himself as a CDM, and that's what Emery expects of him. But it's not going to happen. So what happens? He causes fouls, and then he gets a yellow card, and then we start losing ourselves again. He should have never taken out Torreira because he was actually doing pretty decently. He should have taken out Shaka because we
That's your club captain, though. Like, come on, man.
man.
Well, you start off from there. Why would you do it?
No, man.
First of
Pepe-
all, your club captain is Ashley Young. So
Yeah, we already started on that dirtbag, man. Oh my god.
First of all,
We-
where's this guy? He's sitting there all smug. Yo, he's a stand-in for Edgar. That's what he is. That's what he is.
my club captain has
Thank
this.
you.
Wow. Wow.
Yo, call him Happy Feet, bro.
Word? Okay, that's alright. Let's not talk about Sleepy G right now. Let's not bring up Sleepy G. That's the past.
Slippy G.
So we have
He
actually a
also has
comment.
this.
A nice little shout out for a comment that was left on our post today before the match. Heavenly Father, he said, either way, a set of toxic fans are going to call for a gaffer's head. Do you agree with that, Andrew? Do you
Call
think
for whose head?
a gaffer's head, like the manager's head?
I feel like Man U, like Solskjaer, has been under a lot more scrutiny than Emery has. Unai Emery thinks probably one of the better things to happen to Arsenal the last couple of years. But Solskjaer, everyone wanted change in Man U last year, and that's who they got. And he was good in the beginning, but I don't think he's had that consistency across the time he's been manager to show that he can get the job done when it needs to be done. So I don't know. How do you feel about him? I was actually curious about that.
That's something that was brought up by the commentators again, because I think that kind of proves how maybe boring the game was for them even because they just started pulling out all kinds of
Everything
stuff.
else.
Well, they had to go into conversation.
Yeah, they were pulling out all kinds of stuff. Like they were saying like about how Pepe lost possession 17 times
Yeah,
on the pitch.
Back in.
They also had a really interesting tidbit where they said,
Saka.
yes, about Saka.
Scared.
But one thing,
Yeah, you know, his reference like he got scared. Like, ooh, that kid was so good.
so good. That kid could barely keep the ball at his feet.
Ooh,
But
man.
I think that was due more to the conditions because another thing too is
There
there was downpour throughout the game, so that was definitely affecting it. What I was gonna
It's
get
England,
to
so that happens all the time.
exactly, they have to be used to it, but still.
That's not an excuse.
For someone young though, I mean, who maybe hasn't developed his touch that well, I'll give Saka benefit of the doubt.
Mhm.
What I was trying to get at though is that they were saying, I saw a post about it earlier this weekend. Mourinho's last 27 matches, his record, I think it was 14-9-7.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same exact 14-6-7, something like that. It's the same exact as Solskjaer's first 27.
Really?
So the last 27 that Mourinho got sacked for is the exact same thing as Solskjaer's
How many games
first
has
27.
Solskjaer had with the team now?
Right now, I don't know the exact amount.
But he's had more than 27 though, right?
By now, yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
But they're counting I think they were counting up to this weekend.
Okay.
So then they also talked about Emery's last 44 matches. For some reason, he's gotten the same amount of points. His first 41 matches,
Yeah.
the same amount of points as Arsene Wenger. So Arsene Wenger's reign, the end of it, 44 matches, that amount of points that he had, same exact thing that Emery's has been able to accomplish up until now. Which is, it's very weird to kind of see that. But I guess, like you said, it kind of shows, one manager being under scrutiny more than the other.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I've said it here on the podcast actually before. When they announced that they were going to wait a year to appoint a manager, a coach, and then they went back on their word, and then they signed Solskjaer halfway through the second half of the season. Like I knew already, like I was fine with Solskjaer. I'm not gonna hide that fact. I was like, yeah, like we're doing well. This is great. Like the 9 away matches streak and all this other stuff.
So you were just reiterating what Ferdinand said on TV.
Yeah, what Ferdinand said on TV. Yeah, we are. I definitely believe that, but I think the way they pulled the trigger so prematurely after saying we're gonna wait, it really showed that again. The problem is above Solskjaer. It's above. It's at the board level. It's at the director of football level.
The fans were calling for it, so like, I guess they were appeasing the fans at that moment.
Well, that's the thing. If you jump so quickly to make sure that your fans are okay, without making sure that your fans are okay, if you get that, like in the long run, that just shows that they weren't. I don't know. They weren't thinking. I guess maybe maturely, for lack of a better term, but still. I want to digress to something else because there was some controversy with a VAR call, and you had mentioned something else too, Eddie, which I hope you bring up after we talk about it. So there was a throw-in, United's defensive third. Tuanzebe receives the ball. Maguire's behind him, and he's waiting for the ball so he could just launch it out. And I'm not going to give Tuanzebe any room for error here because he mistakenly passes it right into the middle. And he puts it just in front of, I forget who it was, it might have been Young. He doesn't reach it, and it falls directly to, I think it was Saka actually, or somebody.
No.
But whoever fell to, I can't remember, fed the pass into Aubameyang. Right when that all happened, the linesman put his flag straight up. So you clearly saw the three United defenders that were there, Lindelof, Young, Maguire as well, who was actually returning. He was the one that was out of the play. But Tuanzebe, Young, and Lindelof, they all stop. De Gea also stops. He puts his arm up. And Aubameyang kind of waltzes into the box just before the 6-yard line, and he chips the ball over De Gea's head. It was a great finish. I'm not taking away anything from that. But the entire back line stops because they understood that the flag was up. Later on, the commentators did us the favor of checking the audio, and the whistle was never blown.
That's
on
what
them.
You're taught from when you're a kid to when you're, to when you're retiring. You play to the whistle.
Right,
But,
play the whistle.
In
that.
But to your regard, look, the whole VAR rule, like Germany's had it for, I think this is the third season now. So in the Bundesliga, we've had, I guess, a little bit more trial and error with VAR, and not every call is going to be right. And there's, like the first year that Germany had it, there were calls that were way more messed up than that one. Like there was a call this is not a joke, where there was a goal scored. No, sorry. There was a foul in the box in like the 46th minute or whatever, and wasn't called. Whatever. Teams are back in the dressing room. Referees go to the dressing room, pull the teams out, award a penalty, shoots the penalty, scores it, and then they go to halftime. So
No
at
way.
at halftime, the
Wow.
score is 1-0. They call them out, bring them back out, shoots the penalty 1-1. Then they go back in the dressing room for halftime.
This is all televised.
That happened. Yeah, that literally
Holy
happened in a Bundesliga game. I forget who the teams are, but that happened the first year. I mean, there were plenty of calls that they got right, but that's a way more egregious error than a little offside call. I saw the clip of that Aubameyang goal. I think he was onside, and along with the whole VAR system, the linesmen are told to, if you're not sure, keep the flag down, let VAR handle it. That's why it's there. If you're like a yard offside, okay, cool, you can see that. If there's any doubt that it's an offside or not offside call, keep your flag down, let the cameras handle it, VAR handle it. And I know we were chatting earlier, like there needs to be better training with the linesmen, with referees to adhere to that principle. Otherwise, you get incidents like this. I don't blame Aubameyang for not stopping. This is, according to how he saw the game, it was go time and he had to score, and there was no whistle blown. I guess my only fault for the defense is play to the whistle. I mean, yeah, you saw the flag. That usually means you stop, but you got to have that instinct, that muscle from your whole career of play to the whistle.
Right.
At the end of the day, I mean, VAR is gonna have some kinks, and it's good. Is this the first season that EPL has?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that makes me feel a little bit better.
It's gonna run
long
the
as
kinks
that
out.
doesn't
It's
happen.
gonna run the kinks out the next season or two. Last season I can't remember any egregious mistakes in Bundesliga, and this year there hasn't been any mistakes I could think of either.
So are you happy right now, before I jump into anything else, are you happy with the way VAR is being implemented in Bundesliga?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's something about the way the Germans run their league, like they know how to do it right, and it's
I mean, that's
very
another thing.
efficient.
Literally, German efficacy
It's
is
the-
something
yeah,
else,
right?
man.
First, kind of a follow up
Yeah.
on that. Did you also like VAR before it got implemented?
I'm always a fan of.
Here we go.
I rather have VAR than not have it. Some people
Okay.
don't like it because it takes out the emotion from the game and this and that. I would rather have VAR there, so the moments where you have like the hand of God goal, things like that, and things aren't called, and then you get entire fan bases talking about one moment when you can clearly see what happened, what didn't happen, and the call didn't go because the referee didn't see it, but everyone else did. Just have the cameras take a look at it. You get to celebrate 30 seconds later when it's called that it was a goal, or you'll have, I guess you have to swallow your pride and realize, sorry, guy was offside, it wasn't a goal. Like it'll make the game more fair in the long run, and I do support it.
That makes me feel a little bit better. I was
Yeah.
saying the fact that he was like that. Andrew is able to tell us, the first year in Bundesliga was awful.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of mistakes. And I guess, at least to me, the way I see it is like, okay, I guess I have to
Yeah.
accept the fact that there's going to be more things like that.
No.
But another thing that Eddie had mentioned is, why are officials still afraid to call VAR penalties? What do you think about
Oh,
that, Eddie?
word.
Yeah, like I said, there was a clear handball, right? Like we
Yeah.
saw it in the
By Socrates. And
yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm sure Erik is fine with the decision now, but yeah, I still think
Yeah, why the VAR?
refs in the EPL are still terrified to call a VAR penalty.
Why do you
They
think
don't-
that is, though?
They don't want to be the first.
You
Wait.
mean that they, like when there's like a handball in the box, like they don't want to call it?
Like they
They
don't
don't wanna go to VAR.
see it. They don't see it, but everybody has seen it. And I don't know if they're telling them if it was or not, or to go check.
They gotta talk to him in the ear. Like
Yeah.
if it's a penalty, you can call it. Yeah.
Maybe they are, and he because he has last word. So maybe he's like, I didn't see it. I'm not gonna call
He
it.
does still have last word.
Right. The referees do still have final.
So maybe that's why he's not doing it. I don't know, because it's the second time. This game and last game, both times he's touching with
Hmm. They
it.
just
He
don't
walked
wanna-
away with it, like he kind of like, oh shit, let me walk away from the
No,
18.
no, that was Kolasinac.
This one was Kolasinac?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Kolasinac.
my bad.
Yes,
I thought
yes,
you were talking about Socrates.
No.
But last
Today-
time it was
today
Socrates. This time it's
Today
Kolasinac.
was Kolasinac,
Still,
yeah.
it's handball in the 18. So
And it
Yeah.
was something where even in the replay, when the ball came in, the replay, it shows Kolasinac turning his body and his arm, even though it's still to his side, it's
Yeah.
still separated, and it hits him, I guess, like right above the elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the whole mess in the box. Everyone's scrambling. They clear it out.
Yeah.
So when they're looking at that was something the commentators picked up on. Like, yeah, that was pretty clear.
Didn't they also revise what is considered a handball or something this season?
Everything's a handball.
Yeah.
No, literally,
right.
everything's
Yeah.
handball.
Well, because that's actually a good point. Because there was a handball, but also in the Aston Villa game against Arsenal, there's also 2 handballs in the box again.
Correct.
Both ways, and they didn't call it
They
either.
didn't call it either.
I feel like they just don't want to have a 4-4 game where three of the goals were handballs. I feel like the league prefers having games from goals from the natural run of play. But I mean, you got to call it, and eventually players will stop, doing that.
I mean, I hope so. The good thing that it does solve, and it was something that we had talked about, was the fact that it would eliminate things like that, like hand of God.
Mhm.
Any contact with your arm, it would invalidate attackers trying to, cheat the system or gain an
Then
advantage.
Thierry
I
Henry
guess.
wouldn't have gotten that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So
Right.
that really kind of wraps up the game today. I don't know where they're gonna go from here. It's
Who
over.
gets sacked first?
I don't know, man. I really
Come
don't.
on, tell me. Who gets sacked
I
first?
really
Marco
don't,
Silva.
man. Marco Silva.
Okay, all right. I think I always get sacked first, man.
Who?
He thinks I was gonna get sacked first.
I actually think. Well, I did say Ollie, but at the beginning for the beginning of the season. But right now, realistically, I think it's gonna be Marco Silva for members.
Because just imagine Manchester United can't get out of the group stages in Europa League. I ain't worried about Emery because that's his competition. But Ali,
I don't know.
Yeah, idea, man. Thank you, bro. See, I like him because he maybe he's about Liverpool sometimes, but also he helps. He helps me out sometimes. Edgar does not. Edgar just comes and
He's
just.
being nice right now because he doesn't want anybody to bring up the fact that they got stupid lucky this weekend.
Yeah, I was
With that
actually
ball between the
literally
legs.
looking at that right now. They got
Alright, first of
gifted.
all, I know Fergie time over there is not talking.
A nice little, he opened a little, oopsie, popped it up.
Couple bucks in our
allegedly, you're the young goalkeeper, so yeah, don't do that. Then.
I don't know, man.
If you want to give us a 3 points, that's fine.
I think
I'll take it.
to not, I guess, stretch it too much on Premier League because we also want to bring Andrew in. One of the things that kind of stood out was Leicester beating Newcastle 5-0.
Yes, there was a red card after what 2-0.
And that was a horrible tackle, man. I
was
saw the
that?
replay on that. That was reckless.
Yeah, my man's over here.
we're watching
We're
the get
eating,
together over
we're
here.
eating tacos. He was like, "No, that's not a red card."
It's like, oh, but I feel like you got the ball. Then what do
Wants
you
to
touch
risk-
first? The ball or the player? The ball. I got the ball. Then.
He wants to risk recovering players. They're not red cards. Like, my man,
All in or all out, bro?
Marco,
Damn
all
it.
in.
All in, bro.
Jesus.
I'm over there enjoying my taco, and he's over there like, "No, it's not a red card." I'm like, "Bro, he went through his legs."
Yeah, you can't go through someone to get the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you touch it first and break his ankle, it doesn't count.
No.
It wasn't a straight, right? It was yellow. It was second yellow, right?
No,
No,
straight
straight
red.
red.
Straight red.
Straight red.
Sucks for him, man. Bordeaux is.
You good?
All right, we are back after a quick break. We had some pretty good conversation that we want you guys to listen into. We are in overtime, OT.
Oh man, what's that?
Where's
What's
the whistle
up?
at? Oh, it's right there. It's right
There
there.
we go.
It's right on- it's right on.
It's with Carly Lloyd.
Improvise. All right.
I didn't hear the whistle like the United players did.
Thank you. Fuck you. Sorry, I know, man. I'm sorry.
We always got next time.
Yeah, man.
Marco just remembered to put the disclaimer.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
You
It'll be
bleep that?
easier that than have to bleep every single time. Every single time that Erik has said something.
All you
That way it's PG.
All you kids that saw us yesterday, we apologize.
No, please bleep it.
That was actually something that I wanted to bring up. We had a great day yesterday at Red Bull Arena. So if you are tuning in for the first time, if you're listening to us for the first time,
Great weekend because we started off on Friday at the Fall Fest in North Plainfield.
correct,
Yes.
that too. The people that we saw over at the Fall Festival in North Plainfield, that was a great event also. It was pretty cool. There's a lot of fun activities for the kids to come out, some pretty awesome vintage cars that they brought out too. It was a fun day, and to make the weekend even better, coming out to Red Bull Arena for not just one but both matches.
Yes.
For Sky Blue versus Orlando Pride, and then we had Red Bulls against DC United. It was an awesome time. I know you guys had a pretty good time out there too. You know, it was a long day, but it was definitely worth it being out with everyone.
I'm still hurting from yesterday.
You're hurting?
Well, the whole weekend.
Yeah,
It's been a really long weekend.
You're sorry?
Oh, not only that, like, dude, I work. I was legit falling asleep.
Dude, I passed out when I got home.
Yeah, you knocked out. You're doing. Eric is doing pretty good on the table actually. With Edgar, he was doing really well.
I mean, look at this sunburn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
look at that.
Your ankle.
Okay,
Bro, look at that. I got sunburned.
Yeah, your ankles
You
are
got
like two
line right
different shades, man.
Crazy, man. I thought it was just dirty, but no.
No, well, that was the nice part about yesterday. It was really chilly throughout the morning and cloudy, and then once you opened up for like everybody to come play for when they came to watch the Rebels, it just got really hot and sunny.
Yep.
So it just made such a nice day yesterday for like all these activities and all these kids that came out and tried out the table, the tech ball table.
It was great. It was great, and we were hoping to get involved in a lot more events, in a lot more activities, a lot more match days, hopefully, and bringing tech ball for everyone to try it out because, like you'll see in the highlight video that we'll be putting out soon, people had a lot of fun with it, and it was young kids, it was professionals, even it was freestylers, it was fake stylers, it was also parents. You know, it was a great mix of people. So if you are a new listener, thank you and welcome to the show. That being said, you can catch us on several platforms, which are...
Oh, man.
We'll start with that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play at Benchwarmers FC.
Nice.
Don't forget, give us a like, comment, let us know what you want to hear. If you want to join us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Benchwarmers FC. One.
Ooh.
Mm.
And you can watch the highlights of the tech ball or anything at all that we have. You can do it on YouTube at Benchwarmers FC TV.
And you can also send us an email. You can write to us to our email address, which is benched@benchwarmersfc.com, which is also the title of our website, which is up and live, www.benchwarmersfc.com. We also want to direct you guys to Andrew's podcast, Welcome to Bundesliga.
Welcome to the Bundesliga. So the plug for that is Instagram account is Welcome to the Bundesliga with all underscores. And then the email is welcome2Bundesliga@gmail.com.
Nice.
Cool.
To bring you in, Andrew, right away on this old time, Over Tea Old Time segment, what are your starts for the Bundesliga podcast? Where did you, I guess, you talked a little bit about how you were a Bayern fan.
Mm-hmm.
So what pushed you to actually reach out and get some listeners, get some followers, speak about the Bundesliga?
Right. So I've been, like I said earlier in the podcast, a huge soccer fan probably since around 2011-12. And I went to film school, and I was a sound mixer for a while.
Nice.
So I'm interested in the whole audio side of things. And I just wanted to start creating more content of my own. And I'm thinking of ideas of what to do. I'm helping my buddy with one of his YouTube shows, and I enjoyed that. So I'm like, all right, well, let me try my own thing. And naturally came up with, I like talking about soccer, and I have the audio equipment already there, so let's just do a podcast. And that's kind of how that was born. I started it, I think, December 2018, so right around the winter break in the Bundesliga, and I've been going since then.
Nice. That's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So talking about Bundesliga and your team, talk us through your rivalries. Is there any team that you absolutely hate? Someone that you don't like to play?
Yeah, so...
Is there an Arsenal in your league?
I would love him. Arsenal's in the league and play him every week.
I don't think that's what Dale was trying to play. Damn it.
Can I dab up Andrew now? Like, is it my turn?
Stand up.
Is it my turn? Is it my turn? I like that.
You play referee over here.
I'll separate you guys. All right, so talk us through.
So rivalries. I mean, Bundesliga in general, I would have to say probably the best and most intense Bundesliga rivalry isn't even a Bayern one. I'll get to the Bayern ones later. But my favorite Bundesliga rivalry to watch is Schalke versus Borussia Dortmund. It's called the Riviera Derby. The last two specifically, last year and the year before, have been absolutely amazing. The 2 games ago, Dortmund was up 4-0 at halftime. The game ends 4-4. Schalke scored a goal in the 92nd minute of extra time, tied it up 4-4 after having a 4-goal lead. They blew it. So that was exciting. Last season, Schalke, they were like battling relegation for almost every match day of the season, and they finished like a couple spots above relegation. And one of the only exciting games that they won was against Dortmund somehow, and Dortmund was giving Bayern a run for the money for the Bundesliga title too.
Right.
So the Riviera Derby always delivers. It's always a lot of fun to watch, and those two fan bases are, you know, the super rabid fans. So the atmosphere at both stadiums is always awesome to watch, and that's a fun rivalry.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Other than that, Bayern kind of has a rivalry with any team like in Bavaria, southern Germany. But naturally, one of the biggest rivals is Borussia Dortmund, just because those are like the number 1 and 2 teams in the Bundesliga going back, you know, years. So that's always a big rivalry. It's called Der Klassiker. That one's always fun to watch. I never miss one of those. That's really exciting. But Bayern's actual biggest rival isn't even in the Bundesliga or the second league. They're in the 3rd division of German soccer, and it's the only other hometown Munich team. Because London has, you know, how many teams there? Manchester has 2. The only like Bundesliga League 1 team in Munich is Bayern, but the other team from Munich is called 1860 München, and that's a big rivalry there. They actually used to have the same home stadium for a while. We used to rent out the Allianz Arena for them to have their home games.
Wow.
Until like a year or 2 ago, they finally got their own stadium.
That must have been good for banter, huh?
Yeah. But no, I was talking about banter. One of the funniest things is a lot of Bayern fans like refuse to even like say or write 1860, so they'll write 1859 plus 1. Like we won't even say their name. We're like,
Wow.
oh yeah, 1859. Like that adds more characters to type out, but they'll say 1859 plus 1 instead of saying 1860 in Munich.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's Bayern's like, you know, official rival, but those games happen either friendlies or like very rare you actually get to see those teams play. So my favorite teams to watch are always the Klassiker, the Riviera Derby. This year there's actually a really cool new rivalry, not new rivalry, but it's the first time it's going to be seen like every year, and that's one of the teams that promoted from the second Bundesliga was Union Berlin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Berlin specifically was split
Yeah.
East and West Germany. And you have the team, you know, we have Berlin that's been in the Bundesliga for a while now. And then just last year, Union Berlin got promoted. So now we'll actually be able to see a Berlin derby for the first time in years. Because this is the first time ever being in the Bundesliga. So
Right.
that's going to be definitely fun to watch.
So Bayern Munich doesn't have a rival in the capital city?
Not really. I mean, we have Hertha Berlin, but you know they're a good team. It's fun to watch, but I wouldn't say it's one of the bigger rivals.
Okay.
It's usually like Augsburg, which is another like Bavarian team, are rivals. They're not that good, but you know, they're rivals. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
How do
yeah.
you feel about Red Bull Leipzig?
So, as a Red Bull fan, as a Red Bull New York fan,
Let's go.
First place.
I do enjoy watching a lot of the other Red Bull teams. I'm a huge fan of Jesse Marsh, who we won the supporter shield with a couple of years ago. He went to be an assistant coach at Red Bull Leipzig, or RB Leipzig, because Germany's not allowed to say Red Bull. It's Rasenballsport Leipzig.
Yeah, Rasenballsport.
So he was assistant coach there, and then he just got the job at Red Bull Salzburg and has been absolutely tearing it up at Red Bull Salzburg. He's like
That's awesome.
undefeated in 8 games. He's scoring there's 5 games where they got 4+ goals. They're absolutely tearing it up in Austria.
He debuted in Europa, 6-2 win.
Right, that was
Wow.
a great game. So I'm super happy for him. I also really like watching Leipzig matches because Tyler Adams was bought from Red Bull New York to Leipzig.
Shout
So
out to
it's
Tyler.
nice seeing a homegrown. Yeah,
Shout
shout
out-
out to Tyler Adams.
Shout out Tyler.
It's nice seeing a homegrown academy player from the Northeast, from this area, playing, first tier German soccer at a competitive level. So that's really cool. And Red Bull Leipzig and Bayern games are starting to become really fun. There was a game last season, or I think it was 2 seasons ago. It was the last game of the Bundesliga season, and Bayern were losing to Leipzig at one point, and then ended up scoring, tying the game 3-3. And then, the 93rd minute, Robin had a solo run and scored a game-winning goal at the 93rd minute on the last day of the season. So I'm not going to say there's a rival developing there, but it's definitely fun to see because they have a good squad. They have Timo Werner, Yusuf Pulse, and they have really good players on there as well. So those games are definitely getting competitive. One of the only games Bayern has tied this season was against Leipzig.
You're right.
So they're definitely a fun squad to play.
Fun squad to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I like.
Sounds so nice talking about it. Like it's just a big team has splurges on players.
I mean, mine's used to be Norwich, but now they're pretty good. So.
How do you feel about losing Robin and Ribery now?
That was tough. That was for so many years, so many Bayern fans became fans because of those two players. So many fans watched the team for years, knowing those two guys, and it's a change in the guard of Bayern. They played it with their hearts out until their last games, until their last seasons, and have moved on. And honestly, they were at the apex of Bayern's best season in history when they won the treble. So they won everything they could with their team. They have unmatchable amounts of German league titles. They've gotten the double so many times, getting the German domestic league and the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And to cap it off in the 2013 season, getting the treble. That's just you're not going to match that again without those guys. Not without those guys. Hopefully, we'll match it again. But I'm happy with the transition we've had. No one's going to replace those players, but we definitely have players that are playing in those positions and are great talents in their own right.
Yeah.
And Kingsley Coman and Serge Gnabry. For a while, I thought Douglas Costa might be there, but then he ended up not staying, and there was some drama there. But I did like Costa as well. But Coman and Gnabry are definitely growing very well into those roles. We also have Alphonso Davies, who we got from the MLS, from Vancouver. He's still super young, but he plays on the left wing also. So I'm definitely gonna miss those players and their experience, and watching Robin just cut in from the side and shoot.
Yeah, man.
Left footed every time. Nobody can stop it.
That's
I
the
don't
best part.
understand.
You saw it coming, and yet nobody can stop it.
I mean, for years, and it wasn't
That's
like
what
a
makes you
one.
great.
It was for years.
That's how it would be everybody in FIFA.
Yeah.
So, talking about like the older players, so Lewandowski's getting up there in age.
Ooh.
Wagner didn't want to stick around. Who do you think is going to
I
be
don't think
next?
Wagner didn't want to stay around. Wagner couldn't earn a spot. He was. If you're competing Wagner for Lewandowski the same spot, it's gonna be Lewandowski.
Yeah,
Wagner's not gonna. You could play on the bench. You could come off at the 60th minute. You could play against some of the lower league teams, but at the end of the day, that spot's Lewandowski's, and unless you can unthrone him, he's staying there. I don't blame him.
So yeah, like I've always seen. Well, from what I know, Bayern Munich likes a certain type of number 9, from Luca Toni to Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Who would be the natural replacement? Like, do you
Who would
see
you buy?
somebody?
Who would you snap up? Let's say
Like I said,
tomorrow,
like Lewandowski's
they
getting
call you up like,
Right.
"What's up, Andrew?
Yeah.
We need some help. Can you pick up somebody? We need them by tomorrow. Sign them up."
All right.
What name are you writing down?
I'll give you an answer to that in a minute, but I don't think we're in that position yet right now.
Not yet.
That's
He's-
confidence. I like that. I like that.
He just hit 30 or 31. He's on the wrong side of 30, but if Messi and Ronaldo and all these and Zlatan are killing it into their late 30s, I don't see why Lewandowski can't. He still's got I'm not even worried about him. He's got years left in him. He has 10 goals in 6 games this season. He's already breaking records just with that, even his own personal record. So I'm not worried about him. But to answer your question about who would be some successors, I have heard talks about Timo Werner from Leipzig. He plays the German national team as well. Originally, I remember there was talks amongst Bayern fans in the forums and stuff about signing Werner either this offseason or the next offseason. Especially next offseason would have been ideal because he would have been a free agent, but then Leipzig locked him up for another couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's going to be more difficult there. Another one is from Bayer Leverkusen, Kai Havertz.
Okay.
He's a young 19-year-old German star player. Kai Havertz is another potential target there. Bayern likes to keep a certain amount of Germans in the team, and he's a great candidate there as well. So those are 2 guys I heard. Originally, when we were still looking to replace Robin Ribéry, there were talks of Pepe that you guys ended up getting. I remember rumors of that. So the two.
You dodged the bullet there, man.
Yeah.
Good one.
Good
Good one.
The two that I'm hearing a lot about now are Kai Havertz and Timo Werner.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
So, you guys just got Felipe Coutinho.
Yes.
Replaced James,
Yo,
who
Liverpool
my
plug,
man's over
bro.
here
Liverpool
keeps
plug,
saying,
bro. Come on.
Yeah.
keeps
He knows.
saying he's a
He
6
knows.
out of 10.
Yeah.
Have we not had the conversation
We
before?
did.
And what did I tell you about James? I don't consider
Yeah.
him great, but I still think
he's
does
not
good.
world class, but he's good. He can be a starter at the right team, but he's not a starter at a top 5 team, like across all the leagues. He's not gonna start for Barca, Real, Bayern, Liverpool. He could start for a second or third place team in one of these leagues, but definitely not one of the.
From 1 to 10, what do you rate him as a club player? Not a national player, club player. 1 to 10.
When he has the right people around him, the right team around him,
Yeah.
he could be on his day. He could be like a 7.5, 8. More frequently like a 7, 6, 7.
Nah, what are you
I'm just
talking about?
saying,
They just wink at each other.
I'll
They
give
just
him
wink
one
at each
above.
other. I swear to
I'll
God.
give him
I just
a
don't
7.
You see, I'm not the only one out there. Y'all love him. I get it. I
Really
truly
got that.
understand
Right,
it.
right. Hater.
Well, I'm not a hater. I'm realistic when it comes to
Hey,
him.
later on, I'm asking another tiebreaker question because we're pretty much even in this room right now. But back to Felipe Coutinho.
Yeah.
I know it's early on. It's only been a couple games.
Back to
Do you
Liverpool
like
players,
him?
bro.
Would you sign him?
So when it comes to him, I mean, let me talk
Well,
about
I
the James
know.
thing
You
for a
guys.
second.
Manchester United doesn't want to sell to them, and Bayern Munich definitely doesn't want to buy anybody from you guys.
What would we buy?
It's all good.
Oh,
Oh, now he's talking about it.
Okay, unless
Arsenal
you
got
guys-
players that they would buy.
Unless you guys are giving him De Gea, I don't know who else would get.
That's fine. That's all right. Andrew's our guest. All right? We open the floor to him, okay?
So yeah, we had James on, was it like a 2-year loan, I think.
Yeah.
And like I remember 6 months into his loan, all the fans were like, let's sign him, let's get him now, let's lock him down. Like he's playing great, we love him. And I was kind of on board with that also. I'm like, let's get him. Like he was like he was kind of playing the missing part that we didn't have, and we were all about selling him. And the board's like, no, we're gonna at least wait till like the end of the loan and make a decision then. And then when it did get to the end of the 2-year period, like it was the fans were a lot more like, okay, I could keep him, I could take him, I'm cool either way. But like for the first while, everyone's like, just sign him right now. He's great, to sign him. We ended up not signing him, and I was in the camp of, if he stays, cool, I'm happy with him. If he doesn't stay, I'm not gonna cry over it.
Yeah.
Coutinho, I don't know where he's gonna go with that path. We have him also. Was it 1-year loan?
I believe it was a 1 year.
Yeah, 1-year loan. In the games that he's played so far, what I like about him a lot is that Bayern's always been, let's cross the ball. And Coutinho's been able to get us a lot more like forward direct play through the midfielding, as opposed to like coming in from the wings and crossing. So I like that. I feel like that's what Bayern's been missing for a while.
Okay.
So I do like that about him. And his first goal was an awesome moment by Lewandowski, sitting on a hat trick, and Lewandowski's amazing penalty record over the years. To give that up, to give it to Coutinho, get his first goal and get his confidence up was really cool. And
Kind of like Aubameyang and Prem.
See,
Yeah.
see.
Hopefully.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
he appreciates
It
his
works
out,
out
bro.
so much, and you made that
my
point.
God,
'cause you gave me-
that's another argument. Them two had.
Thank you.
Well, I just ate popcorn, but.
So, thank you.
Good, well,
That's all I'm saying.
he just said it was a gift. He confirmed what I said. It was a gift,
No.
right? He just
It has the
It
benefit of
worked
giving him
out.
the confidence.
It worked out.
Lewandowski
Yeah.
doesn't need that goal. He's got
That's
10 and
fine.
6.
That's
He-
fine.
To give the
He
incoming
scored.
player confidence
Yeah.
to continue on
Yeah.
and get that monkey off his back and get the first goal.
And
It's
then
worth it.
And then Pipe scored in the following game, so it worked out.
in the following game.
Yeah, he scored over the weekend, right? The second goal.
Oh, Coutinho did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking about Pepe. Yeah, Coutinho.
No.
Coutinho
Yeah,
got his-
Oh,
Pepe
no.
did it. Pepe definitely
Yeah.
did it.
Short form of
That
Felipe
monkey's
is
still
Pepe.
there.
Oh,
Pepe.
guys, I thought you were
My
really
bad,
talking about
sorry.
Pepe.
No,
Sorry,
no.
sorry.
He's still carrying that one.
He's still hanging
Gotcha.
on his back. I'm just saying. But
Yeah.
okay, that's actually very interesting because finally we got someone to tell us the reality of the quality that James is and can
So
be.
you couldn't believe it from me, but you had to wait until Andrew came here to say almost exactly what
He
I
didn't say
said.
the same thing. He started at 8, and
Yeah.
then he
And
said
then
7,
little
and then
by
he
little
looked
you
at
started
you, and
trickling
then
down.
he said 6.
What do you want me to say? He's right.
I'm gonna go to VAR because I swear to God these guys. I'm gonna go to VAR because Marco's like,
We got 3 angles.
yo, we work together, bro.
Look, Eddie brought it up. I kept quiet, and I knew where it was going.
I had to bring it up.
We had this conversation before. We've talked about it, and I.
Also, you practiced it.
No, we didn't practice it.
We've
talked
talked.
about
We've
it.
had this discussion before.
No, I bet you Marco did it on purpose because he's like, yo, I'm gonna condition him right now.
I'm gonna brainwash him right now, little by
keep
little.
saying 6 over and over, so when he's asked, he'll say
He'll
6
just whisper
eventually.
6.
He'll say 6 eventually.
I text him 6.
Just randomly.
6.1.
So we have actually right now this week we have Champions League back.
Yes.
We got match day 2 of the group stage.
I forgot how much like Champions League games, like how close together they are in the beginning of the league.
Yeah, which is
I'm
nice.
used to like having like weeks between them. I'm like, oh wait, there was one like 2 weeks ago. Now there's one again.
Yeah,
Exactly.
feels good.
So most of the teams that are playing, they have. We were talking about it off camera. The matchups aren't. They're mostly winnable matches for the bigger teams.
Yeah.
We'll put it like that to kind of also respect the fact that these smaller teams can provide an upset. But we have a marquee matchup with your beloved Bayern Munich visiting Spurs at their home stadium.
Right.
We don't have
Tulip.
any Spurs representatives here tonight.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
You.
Listen, I'm just. You can't kill the messenger, all right? Because I'm just standing in for them. That's all
You
I'm
were
saying.
rooting for them last Champions League final.
I was rooting for whoever was playing against Liverpool. Let me put that clear, all right? I'll put that clear. Even if it was Ajax, I would have been like with an Ajax little flag, like waving at it.
Honestly, I would have worn the Ajax black jersey.
Yeah, that one was pretty nice.
Ajax black jersey.
Yeah.
You were talking about Ajax a little bit actually
Yeah.
before we went on live. So what was that story?
Now I was saying last season, I was at actually this MLS season, but last Champions League season, I was at a Red Bull tailgate, and we were watching I think we were looking at the score like a radio stream or something. We were watching the game, the Ajax versus Tottenham game, and I'm pretty sure Ajax had a lead at some point. I'm like, this is gonna happen. Like they're gonna get the upset. The young kids are gonna make it to the final. And then I kind of stopped watching and hanging out at the tailgate. And I walk over to some other buddies. They're like, dude, Tottenham's making a comeback. I'm like, no way. And then I checked the score, and it was like I think the last 10 minutes or something they won the game, and I was shocked. I really wanted Ajax to get in there, but yeah, that kind of turned that night over. I was really hoping Ajax would win. Let me down.
I'll ask you directly. Are you afraid of Spurs?
Afraid? No, I'm not afraid. I welcome competition. I welcome playing good teams. Bayern's not a team that's afraid of getting in there with some tough teams.
That's a fair point. Are you afraid of Pochettino?
Though, see, okay, now that we're talking about that, Pochettino, I think, has a lot of class as a coach, and if we take, the starting 11 of the players, we can argue, the quality there back and forth, but if we take the coach versus coach, I do think Pochettino edges out Niko Kovac a little bit there.
Okay.
Like we were talking earlier off air, when Bayern was looking to replace Ancelotti, Pochettino was one of the main candidates that a lot of people I know were wanting to become Bayern's next coach, and I have a lot of respect for him. And that I think is going to be more of a difficult thing for Bayern, is being outcoached by Pochettino or outclassed by formations or tactics or whatever. I'm more worried about that angle from Tottenham than I am individual players or anything like that.
With the form that I guess Bayern has shown, especially Lewandowski, like you said, 10 goals so far domestically, do you have any qualms over being able to overcome, let's say, an early goal by Kane or something like that?
I'm really happy with our form. For me, it comes down to our lineup, really, and where Nico decides to play certain players. I'm not scared of going down by a goal. I'm really confident in our defense in general. Like this year, Neuer's been better than he was last year. Still, Neuer hasn't been the best goalie in the world for at least 2 seasons at this point. But this season, he has showed up when we needed him to. And with our very young defense, we sold Hummels back to Dortmund. We still have Boateng, who's up there in age and doesn't have any speed on him. But in games like this is where I'm saying if you get the lineup right, I'm not that worried. If Boateng starts, I'm gonna be sitting on the edge of my seat. Like, what are we gonna do here? If he doesn't start and we start Hernandez and Pavard and Sule, I'll be a little bit more confident. The issue is like Alaba was injured for a while.
Okay.
Who do we play at left back? We've been playing Lucas Hernandez back there, and he's been great at left back. But I would rather have a center back pairing of Sule and Hernandez, and then Alaba at left back, because that's his best position, and I think that would be, the best defense. The other lineup issue that I have that Nico does sometimes is he'll put Joshua Kimmich instead of right back, where he's amazing. He's been killing it at right back since taking over Philip Lam.
Mm-hmm.
Last season he had 11 or 12 assists and
That's
4
insane.
goals as a defender.
Yeah.
And that's been like that the season before too. So like Joshua Kimmich, like I always like to joke on Reddit, on the Bayern subreddit, you can get like a flare for your next to your name. And one of the most common ones is future Captain Kimmich. Because he absolutely has that passion as a young player, and even though he has a totally different play style, but he is one of those players that will like die on the pitch for Bayern. Like he didn't come from our academy. We got him from Augsburg's academy or Augsburg. But yeah, he has that Bayern blood and passion, and sometimes it gets him yellows and cards here and there. But he has that passion that I remember Vidal had. I miss Vidal a lot because he was the guy that if you needed a game that was getting scrappy, you put Vidal in and he'll change the pace of the game right away.
He's always ready for a fight.
I love that guy. I really
Sounds like someone here on the bench. I don't know.
That's the last scrap I was salty about. I
was ready for a scrap. I don't know.
But this season he's been playing Kimmich in as a center mid, which is what they do with the German national team.
Mm-hmm.
And be that as it may, I think in the important games you play him where he is best, and he is best at right back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's if we have Alaba, Luka Hernandez, Sule, and Kimmich as a defense with Neuer in net, I'm confident there. If Boateng starts, I'll be a little bit worried. If Kimmich's in the center mid, I'll be a little bit worried. It really does come down to like coaching, tactics, and lineup are more what I'm worried about than quality of player versus player.
That's great, man. You see, I like that. An actual fan, talking about his team, interested, knowledgeable about his players, knows what some of the weak links are. That's awesome.
So what's your ideal lineup? At least for this game.
Going from the back, I would have Neuer in net, left back Alaba, then we got Hernandez, Sule, Kimmich. Then I would put, if we decide we want to be a little bit more defensive, put Martinez, Thiago. I always gotta have Thiago. That guy is just
he's amazing.
Wonderful in midfield. Wonderful. So Martinez and Thiago, and then I put Coman, Gnabry, and then honestly it's a game day decision whether we put Coutinho or Mueller in the center attacking mid. I'm cool with either one of those, and then Lewandowski up front.
Okay.
That'd be my lineup there.
Are you afraid with? I know with Lewandowski, you're not at all shy of saying that he's past the wrong side of 30, which I liked how you put that. Miller being 30, is it this? Do you feel the same way with him?
See, right now, this offseason, like our team in general became younger. Unloading Hummels and Robin and Ribéry, our average team age dropped by a couple of years easily, and bringing in Pavard and Hernandez, they're under 25, I believe. They're young players there. Gnabry and Coman are also under 25. So we got younger in this offseason, not older. I mean, yeah, Lewandowski got older, and everyone else did too. But our team in general, average age went down, and we have those young players there. And I think it's important to have young players play alongside more experienced ones.
Sure.
Because earlier we were talking about Arsenal. One of the young guys was maybe doing some dumb tackles or something because you get too passionate or you're too raw, not really like refined yet. I definitely saw that with a bunch of Bundesliga teams last year, maybe some Bayern players as well.
Mm-hmm.
But playing alongside those experienced players is what's gonna get you that polish that makes you into a great player.
That's a good way to put it. A nice polish to help shape them.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the most important question. What is your score prediction for tomorrow, man? What are you putting it at?
I don't see a 0-0. I don't see a shutout on either side.
Isn't it like 5-1?
I see.
Well,
I'm just saying.
they
If they do
are
well against
going-
London teams.
to the north of London.
Yeah.
I don't. Wow.
You just said you like that. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
but you see it. Maybe we'll just go back to.
I
It's all jokes.
see.
It's all love.
I'm gonna go 3-1 Bayern.
3-1 Bayern.
I hope 3-1. Listen, with Harry Kane and Son is one of my favorite EPL players. I love that guy.
That's a nice shot. That's a nice shot.
Son is great, and him linking up with Harry Kane. You know, did Harry Kane get the Golden Boot last 2 years? Or something?
No,
Okay.
some-
Well, he was always in the race. Harry Kane's his name is always in the race for the Golden Boot. So him and Son, if they get a good link up, if they have a good game, then I can easily see them scoring against Bayern.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I'm gonna call it 3-1.
3-1 Bayern.
That's what I see.
I fully support that statement.
I hope it's just 6-0. So
I would love to see that.
they
I can see
I'm not
that.
gonna.
Not
I can say no to that.
6-0, but I can see a 5-1.
No, 6-0.
The way, I mean, yeah,
Or-
6-0.
because it'll be funny because like then Pochettino's like I'm out, and then I could just sit there and eat my popcorn and watch every team try to get him.
To ask you guys a question, since I don't watch as much EPL as all you guys do. What is Tottenham's form right now? How have they been doing the last couple
Bad.
games? Bad.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad form.
Okay. What was the last game? Who did they play last game?
They played Leicester. Well, I mean, this weekend they won, but they were still on the ropes because
Okay.
they were tied, and Serge Aurier got sent off,
Yeah.
which
You fancy
pissed me off because I picked him up on a wild card and I was excited about that. But the match before,
They Carabao Cup?
yeah, they got knocked out.
Oh yeah,
Carabao
you
Cup.
guys got knocked out by some third division team or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But like the thing is that form has been kind of chasing them for a few weeks now.
Okay.
Because they had a 2-0 lead against Olympiacos
Mhm.
in Champions League.
Right.
Specifically. They blew that.
Yep.
Then against Colchester, they had a lead on them. Drew went to penalties,
and
blew
lost it
that.
there.
Then they went to Leicester. They were up again. Kane wonder goal. He was on the ground. They were like
Mhm.
all like commentators were losing their mind about how do you score from that angle, whatever.
Yeah.
Lost that as well. So this
But
is
Put
Put
man up,
it to
too.
this.
yeah, I
They're-
with the man up.
Their highlight of the season is tying Man City.
Yeah,
Okay.
so far.
So
which
far.
is kind of like if you think about it, if you tell me that a team that just lost to Colchester tied to Olympiacos being 2-0 up,
Mhm.
I think it was away or home, I'm not sure.
Oh, wait.
Away, but still having a lead. And if I told you that same team tied, last season's league leaders by a long mile, you'd think I'd be lying to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So their form, you guys caught them. I think Bayern are going to catch them on a pretty bad streak. So
Yeah.
that's definitely going to be.
That's what
I would give the advantage to Bayern definitely
Okay.
very easily for them.
6-0, man.
If it is
Listen,
6-0,
I
just
I'd love
want to
to
see him crumble.
we'll shout you
Just
out for that.
crumble.
We definitely will. But like I said, it is one of the marquee matchups.
Oh, yeah.
It is the only one that's sticking out.
Yeah.
I do want to pull you on something that we've been going back and forth so far, just to kind of keep it on Champions League.
Mhm.
We have Galatasaray against PSG, and we went into it.
Alright, so you're either going to be the tiebreaker right now,
Oh, that's
or you're going to solidify.
It's
Okay.
not
improving.
Listen, they tied. He didn't do anything, and then they lost. He didn't do anything. What are you talking about? All right, so we want to know. Erik has been lauding, bringing up, elevating the stock value of Neymar, and I think that he's overrated as a player.
Mhm.
So do I.
Yes, he has the quality. I'm not arguing that. Yes, he can dribble out of anyone. He's dribbled past several teams,
It doesn't sound like we're
several
related to me.
defenders, but he doesn't make it happen when it needs to happen. That's what I'm saying. He's overrated.
Alright.
He can't influence the game.
In general, this season,
3
I'm saying
games,
in
3
general.
closing games.
Oh
I'm
my
a-
God.
I'm gonna
Neymar.
go with them. I'm gonna go with PSG takes this one.
PSG takes this one.
Listen, Neymar is
He hasn't
getting
done
all this
anything.
shit from the fans, and then
It's
wins
his fault. His fault.
His fault.
100%, and then wins them 3 games on his back. 1-0 games that he scores in
I
the
don't
89th
know.
minute and the 90th minute.
Didn't they just lose 2-0?
They lost.
Okay, they did, but a couple games before that.
There
There was like 3 games where
he didn't start
Neymar,
all game.
Yes,
Start.
where
okay,
Neymar
sure.
was the sole reason PSG won the game was
absolutely,
Neymar.
absolutely. But those 3 games don't.
And he
add
got
up.
booed for it.
They don't add up to a Champions League though, which is what he went to PSG in the first
Right,
place
right,
for. Which he publicly announced he's leaving Barcelona to win that trophy at PSG.
Right.
He was really like.
The Coutinho
I'm not gonna talk to his value, off the pitch because there's a lot of drama there. But when he's on the pitch, he gets it done when he needs to.
There you go.
That's exactly what
Yo, what I'm saying
Thank
is,
you. Caso cerrado.
he is gonna eventually choke. No. He's gonna eventually choke, man. I feel like he's gonna, because the thing is, that's what I'm saying. His quality as a player on the pitch, like you so aptly put it, it's there.
Yeah.
It's palpable. But the fact that he has so much drama off the pitch, that always eventually seeps in, affects his form, affects his style of play.
Affects his ankle.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what it says versus his birthday.
Affects
How are you
his,
gonna say it
around his
affects his
sister's
form?
around his sister's birthday every year.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
man.
that's right. But wait, how you gonna say it affects his form? He just said that he gets it down on the field when he has to.
For
Yes,
3 games,
it's not-
for
it's
3
just-
games.
You have to also think
When
right
he's
now.
on the
Congratulations
Mbappe is
for
injured.
winning
When
the.
he's on the pitch,
Mbappe
won
is
3
injured,
games
so he
trophy.
didn't show up. Mbappe comes back.
Well, I mean, they're gonna play together.
That was like
yeah,
They're
exactly.
not gonna bench one of them.
Neymar gets numbers, bro.
We had MSN. You're gonna bench one of them. You're gonna play
Sure.
Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. Why would you bench?
Yeah,
one
he
of
wants
them?
to bench him because he hates
He
Barcelona.
works a lot. Yeah.
No, it's honestly like Neymar, like you said, yeah, he has a lot of off-field drama, but on the pitch, no matter what, he always gets it down.
I can't wait to see Neymar.
Not win
play
anything from
again.
here on out.
I can't wait to make another meme of Neymar being surprised that they got knocked out yet again in the quarterfinals of Champions League. Like, it's gonna happen.
Not saying I want it to happen because obviously I want my team to win. But if Neymar wins Champions League, it's gonna be on Diego.
Yes,
Oh God.
only thing sweet would be Messi winning, Copa America or like a World Cup or something.
I guess
That's never gonna happen.
That's the only thing that.
No,
I
that's
think international might be over the hill
You
for
just-
Messi, but
I think so.
oh, you
Champions League.
better hope PSG don't win
They
Champions League
won't,
this
bro.
year.
They won't.
They won't, man.
I'm as confident as Andrew is with his players and Lewandowski. He won't. He won't.
It's kind of tacit, right? They're the best Turkish team, but they're just the best Turkish team.
Sure. They may.
That's a pro and a con.
They may win that match. That's fine. Galatasaray has Falcao now, which he's not the same Falcao, but it's a Falcao, whatever.
Hey, Falcao.
That's
Real
it.
Madrid
Just score
against.
goals.
That's your
Yeah.
Colombian Patriot, bro. I
We
never
got
thought I'd
Madrid
hate
against Club Brugge. We have Juve against Bayer Leverkusen.
Oh,
I'm not sure how you feel about Bayer Leverkusen.
Wait, who's playing Leverkusen?
Juventus.
Oh, okay.
They're visiting Juventus.
Yeah, Juventus probably gets that one.
Yeah.
Leverkusen, like I said, they do have Kai Havertz. That's the one star player they have there. But they did lose a couple players in the summer to Dortmund. Actually, they traded over little Julian Brandt,
Yes.
who was one of their good players. So they lost to him. I don't see him taking out Juventus. Not right now.
How do you rate Bellarabi
Bellarabi's
on Leverkusen?
Bellarabi's on Leverkusen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. That transfer right over my head. Apparently, I don't think they're going to be able to stand up to Juventus.
Juventus.
No,
They're just too good right now.
Yeah.
Man.
Moving on to the other matches, we have City against Dinamo Zagreb.
Well, the Blaugrana plays the Nerazzurri too.
That's true. And we have Lokomotiv Moscow getting visited by Atletico Madrid.
deal.
You see, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these matches are
Tottenham Bayern's a definite marquee match.
so.
Well, you also have the first place of City A versus the 7th place of.
You just had to slip that in there.
Of course, bro. Barcelona versus Inter.
Yeah.
So it should technically be a decent game, technically. Doesn't mean it
Oh
won't be.
yeah, it's the first place in the league. That's right. In Alexis' fucking debut.
Plus red card. But that wasn't a City A.
I'm pretty sure Manchester United needs Alexis and Lukaku right now.
I don't think so, bro. I don't even want to get into that. I wrote them off, yo. We shook on it. That transfer switch, that little low switch never happened.
All right.
And the way Lukaku left,
Who would have thought that between what was it? Alexis Sanchez. Who do you guys trade with Arsenal?
For
Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan.
Yeah,
Mkhitaryan.
because who would have thought that Man U loses that trade? That's
We knew.
And they're still paying for it.
They're still paying for it.
Literally.
So, yeah.
Don't ignore me, Diego.
I am ignoring you right now because we're not getting into that. But to his point, what Marco was saying, we do have on Wednesday because we can't exclude Wednesday. It's kind of like the same thing almost. We have Barcelona having Inter visit the Camp Nou, so that's going to be a fun game to
That's
watch.
gonna be fun for sure.
We also have Liverpool getting visited by Jesse Marsh, our very own.
Ooh, so I'm gonna watch that one.
With
That's
Red
gonna be
Bull,
fun.
with
That's gonna be
Red
fun.
Bull Salzburg.
What is that? Tuesday or Wednesday?
That's
Wednesday.
Wednesday. These are Wednesday matches. Leipzig against Lyon. Valencia against Ajax. That might be a
Yeah,
pretty
that might
decent
be a
one
good
too. But either way, you have Napoli Genk, Dortmund Slavia, Lille against Chelsea.
Okay, so, quick question on Lil. You guys saw Renato too, Lil.
Yes,
How
Sanchez.
do you rate Renato?
How was that
He
experience
is-
actually?
So Renato Sanchez, I could talk about him for days. We bought him after the Euros. Was supposed to be this huge, amazing star player, and then we don't have a spot for him. Don't know where to put him. Our midfield was stacked. Maybe we could sub him on here and there. Didn't have a spot for him. Then we're like, okay, cool. We'll give him a year-long loan. Send him to Swansea,
Worst place to send him.
where that just
I
crap.
said
They
that.
should have
He
put
called it the
him
minute
in
he
a
did it.
mid-tier Bundesliga team. Send him to Hoffenheim. Send him to Leverkusen. Some mid-tier Bundesliga team where he's going to get 34 games in. Didn't do that. He had a
Oh, he-
horrible season over
He got
there.
34 games in, all right.
And then comes back to the team. I felt so bad for him because I see his quality there, but he can't break into the main team just because of who else we have in our midfield. He's not going to unseat Thiago, and then we spend all this money in Cortin Tolisso, so we're not going to, not start Tolisso after having a record transfer for Bayern, which was crazy that 45 million at the time was our record transfer until Luka Hernandez. But we're not start him, and then I feel like he just came at the wrong time. I was super hyped for him, but he never really
We all were.
was
Yeah,
given a
yeah,
chance
we
to
all
take
were.
off. I wish we had played him for an entire season and see what he could have done, but he never really got to take off. And then I'm happy actually he's getting to go to Lille because if he gets starting time there, then at the end of the day that's what's best for him in his career, and I wish him best of luck there. I wish we could have, if he becomes an amazing player, I wish I could say that we were the ones that kind of developed him, or that he'd be doing it for us. But at the end of the day, I hope he does develop better and become a starter there.
That was definitely a bit of a disappointment after seeing how
Yeah,
well
I
he
was
did.
because I followed him a lot too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was sorry for him.
Because-
But
Or
Portuguese.
honestly, we could have loaned him back to Benfica where we got him. Stay there for another year
Yep.
instead of going to Swansea.
that's what I said.
Did you know
That's what I said.
Did you know that Eric's Portuguese?
I'm
I did not.
Portuguese.
Oh no, I'm sorry. He's Guatemalan. He's Guatemalan. When he thinks he's Portuguese, that's right.
My girl's Portuguese.
Also, you're what percent Portuguese? No.
No, 50-50.
50. So that was great. That was a great wrap up of Champions League. All the best of luck to you, Andrew. Of course, we want to see your team win. We also would like to see Spurs lose, but I'm not mentioning that. I'm saying that we want Bayern to win.
Yeah.
And for the other matches, I hope we're actually treated to some pretty good games, because the first match day we had some upsets.
Yeah.
Where we had some,
Is Red Star Belgrade playing on Wednesday?
Yes,
Because
they are.
that's a team you got to watch out for. You guys know that. You
Of
definitely
course I
got to
know
watch
that.
out for them, especially if you're going to Serbia.
Yes,
If you're going
Serbia.
to Serbia, you better watch out because they will rock you if you don't show up right.
So
So
the Champions League, the last
and as a
question-
Bayern fan, I'm worried about when we have to go to Serbia
Yeah.
too.
That's one quick question.
Go ahead.
Where do you compare the Premier League crowds versus the German crowds?
So on my introductory episode of my podcast, I talked about that in depth. The attendance for Bundesliga games is head and shoulders above Premier League, La Liga, EPL, EPL twice, but all the other leagues.
Serie A,
The number one club in Europe in attendance is Dortmund. They put 80,000 butts in seats every single game. I don't care if it's Champions League, friendlies, whatever. 80,000 people are in those seats.
That's wild.
It's crazy, dude.
If you look at the lowest league team, like Augsburg or Hanover, they still put 20,000 seats or 19,000 people in the seats. If you look at Granada or you look at Real Sociedad, you're lucky if you get 11,000 or sometimes below 10.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, probably like Swansea or Huddersfield or those teams. If you get 18, 19, that's lucky. The lowest Bundesliga attended team is still hitting 20,000 consistently. So they show up to all the games all the time.
Yeah, because
For sure.
the one thing I read about Bayern Munich, which I do like, is that you guys don't really inflate your ticket prices.
Yeah,
So
that's
the
a big thing in
community
Germany.
is able to.
That's a big thing in
afford
Germany
it,
in
yeah.
general. The most expensive seat that's not like one of like the box seats or private seats in the arena is like 70 euros.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like first line, like right there.
I mean,
Almost
I
a
don't know if it's the front or whatever, but like if you go into the supporter section in during a Bundesliga game, it's like 20, 25 euros. If it's a Champions League game, it might be like 30, 35 euros.
Bro.
But like I got to do a tour of the Allianz Arena. I was in Munich last year in January, and arena is amazing. It's beautiful. And like they showed us, where the supporter section is. During Champions League games, unfortunately, Europe doesn't allow you to like take the seats down. But during Bundesliga games, the seats fold down and they're just standing. It's standing room only. There's only seats. For Champions League, they have to put the seats up like bleachers so they can sit in the bleachers. Okay. So there's like bigger capacity for Bundesliga games.
Okay.
But in general, like the Bundesliga keeps prices pretty affordable across the entire league. And even concessions are cheap. Like getting a beer and a bratwurst at the most expensive stadium in Germany is like 13 euros for a beer and a drink.
I'll tell you $13 at
At Red Bull Arena. At Red Bull Arena, a beer is $15 or $13, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you get a beer and
That's
food for
crazy.
13 euros in Germany.
I wish it was more like that. I really do
Right?
respect
I
that.
would buy way more beer and food
Yeah.
if it was affordable.
yeah, for real. That's a good point. That's awesome to know. Guys. I always wondered. I didn't know that fact about the crowds being so high.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
What surprised me about that wasn't like, okay, I was like definitely surprised when I did the research about finding out the attendance numbers. But what surprised me is that there are La Liga teams that draw like 6,000 fans a game or 7,000 fans a game that are like first tier La Liga.
How they still affording that?
How do you put 6,000 seats in La Liga?
Yeah.
They probably like if Messi comes to an away game, they probably put like 10,000 just to see
Yeah.
Messi play.
Yeah, for real.
But, like-
That's how it is.
That's crazy. I mean, the EPL, like, none of the EPL numbers were below, like, 10,000. There was, like, 15, 16, 17,000. But, like, La Liga had some teams that were there. I brought 8,000 people in the stadium.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Actually true.
I like that philosophy though, to be able to make it affordable and not inflate the ticket prices, because that was something that was very even
Especially
last
for
season.
away supporters,
Exactly,
too.
that was
That's
something
a big
that
thing.
was very controversial for away supporters last season.
Mhm.
And we saw a lot of teams try to answer. I think it was Barcelona had some trouble with that. Arsenal responded really well with that too, to be able to to cover the
The
difference
expenses or whatever, yeah.
for their traveling fans. So that's actually really sweet. That's definitely an example that Bundesliga kind of shows. And leading into that, what is something that you would tell? So right now you got us as a platform. The people that listen to us, people that actually reach out and they follow us. You got the floor right now to give them, some kind of like a one-liner or a few actually
Mm-hmm.
to convince them about the quality of Bundesliga. What would you say to them?
I would say definitely check out the Bundesliga because A, the atmosphere is there for sure, and B, a lot of your favorite players that play for top Premier League teams, for La Liga teams, for Serie A teams, they started in Germany. A lot of them did. You got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang who plays for you guys, started in Germany. You have a lot of players on EPL who got their rise in Germany, and you get to see that now every day, every weekend when you watch games. Bundesliga games, you get to see some of the best players in the world plying their trade. Everyone always talks about watching Messi versus Ronaldo, but in the Bundesliga, for years we had Lewandowski versus Aubameyang. They were putting up 29, 30 goals every season. And then now you have Paco Alcácer and all these young, exciting players. So, Jadon Sancho, there's so much exciting talent there that a lot of people don't hear about until Man U buys them, or Arsenal buys them, or Barca buys them. You don't hear about them, but I've known about them for years. I've been watching them every weekend. So definitely check out the German League. It's fun to watch. The games are more competitive than what you would think, and it's a lot of fun.
That's great. That's awesome. That's an awesome way to represent your league.
Yeah.
And we also had that conversation yesterday, right? About Bundesliga versus EPL, tactically wise.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I said it like I don't know if all the guys agree with me. I believe that the Premier League is more chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
so it makes it more fun. But the Bundesliga is just so structured, and you just see a bunch of tactics, and you see so much good plays, many good runs.
What the biggest hurdle, I guess, that to overcome that everyone always comes to the Bundesliga with, that is it's a two-horse race. I get it. There's Bayern and there's Dortmund, and those are the teams that have the biggest budgets and the best players. But you definitely, in the last couple of years, have a lot of other like mid-tier teams growing. Bundesliga consistently gets 6 teams in the Champions League every year. A lot of them make it out of the group stages too. So, watching teams like Leverkusen or Red Bull Leipzig recently, even like Hoffenheim or Schalke, when they have good seasons, those are exciting teams to watch.
Right.
And I'm sure there have been group matchups between some of the like an Arsenal versus like a Schalke or games like that. Well, those would be fun to watch if you watch them in the Champions League for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I definitely would like to see more EPL versus Bundesliga games because most people just know EPL because it's like the biggest, most advertised league.
Yeah.
But there are definitely other great leagues out there to watch, and Bundesliga I think is one of the best out
one
there.
of them. That's a good bit to get people to watch the Bundesliga.
Mhm.
How about to get people to listen into your podcast? When usually do you have episodes out?
So I've been slacking recently, but what I try to do is record episodes on Mondays, and I usually try to get them out on Thursdays.
Sure.
And it'll be I record on Mondays, try to get them out on Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's a recap of the previous weekend,
Sure.
and then you kind of get a condensed highlight of what happened that match day. I did episodes about the summer transfer window, about coaching changes. Bundesliga has a winter break, which EPL doesn't. But in the winter break, I kind of do a recap of the first half of the season.
Sweet.
I always try to, if there's any kind of like cool stats or streaks going or anything like that, I always highlight those. In my description, I always put like cool highlight videos, any articles I find that are super interesting. It's always in the description. So whatever I talk about, if I say this is really cool goal, I link to it. You can watch it.
Nice.
For sure. So yeah, definitely check it out. And like I said, it's called Welcome to the Bundesliga. Instagram is Welcome to the Bundesliga with all underscores. Email is w2bundesliga, the number 2, @gmail.com. And you can check it all out there.
That's awesome. Nice round of applause for Andrew. Thanks for being here with us today, man. We really appreciate it, especially having that different point of view. Signing off, though, you can find us and listen to us on
Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher at Benchwarmers FC.
Nice.
Also go on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Benchwarmers FC.
And you can watch our videos, highlights of our podcast or Tech Ball at YouTube at Benchwarmers FC TV.
You can also write us by using the email address benched@benchwarmersfc.com, which is also our website, which is now live, benchwarmersfc.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll be back on Thursday.
Hopefully.
Peace.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose Borussia Dortmund. I'm sorry.
What's up?